You may think that low budget filmmaking क्या जाता है यार कैमरा लेके निकल जाते हैं. Trust me, that is exactly why you would go wrong. Because you don't have resources, that's why you need to plan double.
Basically, the big chunk was from my immediate family and friends through Kickstarter because random people are going to come and help you make a short film, which is another lesson I learned pretty harshly.
It is like one of those apocryphal moments where you're thinking, oh my God, my wishes have come true and I'm going to make the film that I always wanted to make.
It's a misnomer that if you're good at making features, you'll be good at making shorts. Because I think there's a very different grammar that's been there. Firstly, I think it's the brevity is the biggest one. Short films, the way the brevity of it, what happens is that you need to have a end that has a high, or has to have, it should be a crescendo. Then it really works better, as against, like, in films you have a lot of time, you can live with the experience, and even if you don't have a magnanimous or an eventful ending, it still holds because you've lived that experience. So I feel fundamentally scripting is the most important phase of short filmmaking. And I've still been like, I think over my career of like past a decade now, I think Sure, and then Juice, and then recently Gilipuchi has seen three different phases of my life and career. So I've always stuck to the guns that the scripting is most essential.
I feel like for most short filmmakers, it was so, I don't know, I feel like it's been pretty lonely for the last 5 years, but now it's suddenly kind of in all of these like diverse film slates. But I think it's a completely different art form. Like it just, I think after making a few unwatchable shorts, I realized I can only maybe do justice to one emotional event in 12 minutes or 15 minutes. With Bitu, I also had become a little bit sick of becoming clever. Like, you have to have like one moment where the film sort of turns on you. And I could see that in my footage because I had so many private moments, and the pace was a little bit off because I was taking my time to start and get into the story. Which didn't work ultimately. I had to kill a lot of my babies and just stick to every frame which Bittu was in, and try to get to a point where the ending felt like it was earned. Which I still, if I watch it again, I still have a little bit issue with in the last sequence. But I learned a lot rewriting that film.
The more the story deepens, the more every particle within that soaks up the energy of everything else around it. It becomes very cohesive. It has a center around which it's got a kind of a centrifugal force around it. And particularly for a dark story like Chutney, there was like the brother-in-law dying and then getting buried under and things growing on it. It just took years and years and years.
This is all learning that I have gotten through. So the first point is, don't beat yourself that, oh my God, is it going to turn out like this? There are so many better filmmakers out there. Trust me, everybody is learning. So keep that fear out of the window. Second thing is that I think if you want to make like low budget filmmaking, you may think that low budget filmmaking क्या जाता है यार कैमरा लेके निकल जाते हैं. Trust me, that is exactly why you would go wrong. Because you don't have resources, that's why you need to plan double. You need to plan more because you don't have resources, you don't have money, you don't have anything. So hence, writing your screenplay is the first step.
I think editing for the last 3 years really helped me be a little bit more economical writer. And I realized staying within my budget allowed me a lot more time, especially in Bitu with the kids, to spend more time within scenes and, hope to find and discover something new even when I'm, in like a micro scene with a small objective, as long as I get to that objective. I want to buy as much time as I can with my actors. So if I can spend the bulk of my money on really good technical people, I've never regretted it. Like if the camera team is good and I can move on quickly between setups, I can live with a little bit of over budget for my own mistakes. So I'm always trying to keep room for that.
One of the hacks that, not really hack, but it's just that your spirit, because you're actually depending on people's favors. So you can't be like, oh, I'm going to be like, okay, I'm director. Please get me something. No, nobody's going to give you favors, bro. You have to make an effort to actually warm up to your HODs. You have to tell them that, listen, this is the idea. This I'm passionate about it. Please come on board, because they'll be excited only because you have a great screenplay. Don't be afraid to get caught if you're doing low budget filmmaking, which is, I mean, I literally have a gorilla kit, which has a fake mic, which is a fake ID, which has a lot of these my fake things that I don't use anymore. Don't say, look at that, Anupama, like that. I'm getting scared.
I love
Um,
it.
yeah, so I don't use that anymore, but I've used it a lot. So you get caught, you have to know the drill, what you have to do when you get caught.
I put aside a little bit of money that I had, and I had another friend who said, I'll put in an equal amount and we let it go where it does. But there was this idea in my head, and I wasn't aware of large short films till I did a bit of, looking around. And as we were writing it, we proceeded with the writing as if we're going to shoot it. We set up a shooting date. We said we're going to go ahead. We have plan A and plan B. If we know that we're going to get some more money, then we're going to go here, which is to Delhi, to Chandni Chowk, and to shoot it exactly where it is at the moment. And else we will shoot somewhere in Pune, in a community that looks similar, etc. And so I got the number of the large short films people, and I sent just an email to that email ID that was attached with the number. And I said, this is the film. And they said, okay, can you send us what you have on it? So I sent what I had on it. And the next morning at 11 o'clock, they sanctioned the budget. I passed out. I had to sit down. I sat down. It was 6 times the amount that I had thought. And I was like, unreal. This is, it was like one of those apocryphal moments where you're thinking, oh my God, my wishes have come true and I'm going to make the film that I always wanted to make.
I feel like I feel like you also have like 3-4 Kickstarter campaigns in you, because people get pretty sick for you asking for money. Because like I said before, it's basically your immediate community that provides it in the beginning, at least. And then, even though it feels impossible, there's slowly like an inherent audience that you sort of start to build, and they just kind of keep showing up and supporting you. But you know, I I can apply to about 17 to 27 grants through a year because I'm just looking for it. And even though I'm in New York and it feels like it's more prominent here and popping up in my inbox, it's actually accessible to everyone around the world. And there are a lot of smaller independent people who put a fund together. That's a rolling fund every year. That's, even if it's $3,000 or $5,000, it's open to international filmmakers. But there are institutions like, Film Independent and IFP. Like, there's every city in most, countries, at least outside of India, have a rolling fund.